Uh, Hi guys, this video is going to be about fundamental rights under the 78 Constitution. So basically this is unit 12. This video will be on unit 12. Right. So when you're writing your answer about fundamental rights, you need to start by defining what fundamental rights are. Right. So basically fundamental rights are a set of rights citizens receive under the protection of their constitution. Okay, it's a set of rights citizens receive under the protection of their constitution. So you guys know there are certain things like human rights and stuff. What differs fundamental rights from human rights is the fact that fundamental rights have a legal protection from the constitution. You guys know the constitution, we call it the fundamental law of the country. It's not the ordinary law. It's not something you pass in the parliament on a day-to-day basis. It's a fundamental law. So when you incorporate a set of rights in the fundamental law of the country, in the constitution, it receives the fundamental law protection. Hence you call it fundamental rights. Right? So it's a set of rights citizens receive with the constitutional protection. So then you can mention the fact that the very first constitution we had, which was the Salisbury Constitution, did not feature a set of fundamental rights. Instead, what it had, the closest thing the Salisbury Constitution had to fundamental rights was minority protection steps, specifically in terms of constitutional provisions, Article 29(2). So in 1972, when they drafted the first Republican Constitution, the drafters of the Constitution decided to incorporate fundamental rights. And under the 1972 Constitution, fundamental rights were introduced for the first time to Sri Lanka under Chapter 6. However, it was considered to be a failure since it had no legal protection. So those rights were not legally enforceable. Hence, they are criticized for being mere constitutional decoration. Right? Now following that, in 1978, when they drafted the second Republican Constitution of Sri Lanka, another fundamental rights chapter was incorporated, this time in the third chapter. And this fundamental rights chapter was legally recognized, it had a legal protection, and these rights were legally enforceable. And we consider them to be effective, not like the 72 fundamental rights chapter. And the other important thing is that these fundamental rights had various enforceable mechanisms. Right? There were plenty of options that people could take if their fundamental rights are violated. So we'll get to them later. For now, that you can mention that it's in Chapter 3 and Article 11, 12, they define what fundamental rights are and how citizens have fundamental rights. Then Article 14 gets into fundamental rights in detail, and then after that, outside the third chapter, they mention in Article 126 that the Supreme Court of Sri Lanka has the power to examine fundamental rights petitions. Right, so now let's see, and you can mention a few rights Sri Lankans have under the 78 Constitution. You have right to be free from unlawful arrest, right to be free from torture, freedom of speech, these things. Then you can mention what are the available mechanisms. What are the available mechanisms in case of a fundamental rights violation? Oh wait, before that, you need to mention that a fundamental rights violation can only occur from an executive or an administrative action. Okay, a fundamental rights violation can occur only from an executive or an administrative action. Right? So there's a small example. Now don't incorporate this in your answer, not necessary. This is for you to have an idea. If someone comes if a normal person comes and stops me from going out of my gate, if someone blocks the entrance of my gate and the person doesn't let me go out, that is not a fundamental rights violation. That is a criminal offense. That means they are using criminal. That person is using criminal force, right? That's a criminal offense. But if a police officer comes and stops me from walking outside walking out of my door using his power as a police officer, now that's a fundamental rights violation. What that means is the fundamental rights violation only occurs with an executive or an administrative action. That means your rights can be violated by the state. Some other person doing something, that's not a rights violation. Understand? Sometimes, when you all get into a feud with someone, if someone doesn't let you do something, you're like, hey, wait, you are violating my rights, and I have a right to do this and that. That's wrong. Because as long as that person is just using his personal force and personal power to stop you from doing something, that's not a rights violation. That's a criminal offense. Rights violations can only occur by the state. If the state, the state has sovereignty power, and according to Max Weber, state can use legitimate violence. So police officers are allowed to use legitimate violence on behalf of the state, right? If they use legitimate violence on you using the power they've been given by the state in a wrong manner, in an unlawful manner, in an unfair way, that's a rights violation. Okay, so it has to be an executive or an administrative action, not a general action. All right. Okay. So now that we've defined that part also, we can move on to the mechanisms that you can take in case of a rights violation. First things first, number one, you can go to Supreme Court. That's the most effective one. So under this, within 1 month of the violation of your rights, rather than that, if you will want, you can use the legal word infringement. If you can use infringement, it's better. Within 1 month of the infringement of your rights, you can file a fundamental rights petition to the Supreme Court of Sri Lanka. Within 1 month, and the Supreme Court would examine your rights petition and see if your rights have been violated, and if they are violated, they will take the necessary steps and they will issue a court order for some relief, either to if the executive action is still standing, they might order to reverse that judgment, reverse that decision, or the court might order to pay you compensation for whatever the loss that you might have suffered, things like that. And whoever the officers, the public officer who violated your rights, is now bound to follow the Supreme Court decision. Why? Because it's a court decision, and if you don't follow the court decision, you have to go to jail. All right. Okay. So that's the first option. Then you have another option, which is going to the Ombudsman. Now, the position of Ombudsman was established by the 1978 Constitution. That's another new feature that was added to Sri Lanka. So the Ombudsman is considered to be like a low-cost option that you can take when your rights are violated, because if you are filing a fundamental rights petition to courts, then you need to have an attorney and file a case and all those things. Whereas if you are going through Ombudsman, it's simply writing him a letter. So if you write a letter to the Ombudsman, he would notify that to the Parliamentary Committee for Petitions, and then he would run an investigation. And first he would notify whoever this relevant officer is that you are complaining about, and he'll run an investigation and provide recommendations for whatever the relief that can be granted for you. However, the thing is, he has very limited powers, and his recommendations, the officer is not bound to follow his recommendations because that's not necessarily a court order. But in case of a situation like that, the ombudsman can sort of complain to the president that, I did an investigation and I recommended these things, and the fellow is not following them. Okay, right. And also we consider the ombudsman's option to be reasonably a weak one, because he has very limited powers, and the ombudsman's office is very inefficient. He gets about 100 letters every day, but he works on like 4 or 5 cases. So practically speaking, what happens is, you normally write a letter to the ombudsman, then you can use that. And when you are coming to courts, that when you are filing the fundamental rights petition, you can attach that letter, a copy of the letter, and be like, I have gone to the ombudsman on this matter as well. So that would give you better grounds. Other than these two options, you have the Human Rights Commission. That's another place you can go to. You can go to the Human Rights Commission and make a complaint. And the Human Rights Commission, also similar to the ombudsman, they also can run an investigation and provide recommendations to whoever the officer that violated your rights. But then again, since this commission has no legal recognition, that again the officer is not bound to follow whatever the commission is suggesting. But of course, then there's this option: the Human Rights Commission can file a case against the relevant officer.